Hey, welcome back. So we've shown you the birth of the Raptors, and things got a bit messy.
Tell your story. Tell your side of it. Ask me that question.
Okay, time out, Vince. Now, we're going to the rise of the franchise.
I hope this comes out right.
In every story, there's a good guy and a bad guy.
The game would hit, the lights would come on, and he would do something phenomenal.
Carter wide open for the win. He is invincible.
A hero and a villain.
I don't want to dunk anymore.
Vince was perceived as a villain.
And who better to build this metaphor around than a guy who was half man, half amazing?
Let's go home, ladies and gentlemen. Let's go home.
The thing about superheroes is you either die a hero
Every night, something happened that made you go, holy crap.
or live long enough to see yourself become a villain.
Toronto had no chance, bro.
He was Mr. Conspiracy.
If I'm not the player you want or need anymore, get me out of your way.
Rob Babcock f***ed that up so bad. He f***ed that up.
The night is always darkest before the dawn.
I fulfilled a dream, and I wanted to make that dream last forever. And that's what it was all about.
For the second time in 4 years, the NBA draft has taken us north of the border. Tonight it's Vancouver, British Columbia, and the home of the Grizzlies.
During the draft, the Golden State Warriors, their first choice was Antoine Jameson, Vince's teammate at North Carolina.
Vince Carter and Antoine Jameson were teammates. And Antoine Jameson was, at the time, the sweetheart of the Tar Heels.
Think they nervous?
Yeah.
That's what it's all about, boy.
And we were not as interested in Antoine. But for some reason, Golden State thought that we might draft Antoine Jameson and then trade him to a team that was behind Golden State.
I got a call late that afternoon saying, Carter is our guy. So I'm ready to write my Vince Carter's coming because they thought, okay, he's a great athlete, magnificent player.
With the 4th pick in the 1998 NBA draft, the Toronto Raptors select Antoine Jameson from the University of North Carolina.
And then when they drafted Antoine Jameson, we're like, I'm like, what? Come on, who screwed me over?
I told them who I felt like was best for our team. So when I seen that, I was pissed.
This 21-year-old's really confused. I said, wait, he didn't even work out for him.
I don't think anyone was particularly upset that Antoine Jameson went to the Toronto Raptors.
With the 5th pick in the 1998 NBA draft, the Golden State Warriors select Vince Carter from the University of North Carolina.
Okay, quick recap. Jameson goes to the Raptors with the 4th pick. The Warriors choose Carter with the 5th pick. Something is brewing.
David Stern telling me, hey, sit back here, there's about to be a trade. And I say, oh, shoot, somebody's about to get traded already. We're 5 picks in. And it was me.
Take the hat off.
Yes, sir.
You heard about there may be a trade? You heard that?
No.
We've announced you two have been traded for each other.
Oh, really? I'll present you to your team. You present me to mine, baby.
That was a bold stroke of absolute genius because the guy in that draft who became the Hall of Famer was Vince Carter.
Your cousin, Tracy McGrady, plays for the Raptors.
Yeah, it makes it that much more sweet. It just tastes good right now. And I talked to him. He was so excited. I was trying to calm him down. He was in North Carolina, and I just said, hey, I'm coming up there. We're going to have a lot of fun. We're going to win some basketball games.
I went to UNC to play pickup. Vince was there. I needed a locker, share lockers. And I told him I wasn't going to be there the next day because I was going to a family reunion. Lo and behold, I get to the family reunion and our 2 grandmothers are having a conversation. And I told her where I just come back from. And she was like, my son is playing ball at UNC. She called him Vincent at the time. And I was like, it's Carter? Like, it shocked me, like, oh, wait. So I'm sitting there like, okay, that's his grandmother. This is my grandmother. And we had a family reunion. I was like, yo, I said, are we? She was like, yeah, you guys are cousins. I was like, wow, how we just finding this out?
Growing up, I didn't have a family member my age doing where like a lot of kids had that opportunity. I didn't, and now I'm at the highest level, and it's like new still. We just found out not a couple of years ago that we're actually family.
Which Carter, did you talk to him too, the head coach?
Yep, talked to him. I said, hey, from one Carter to another, you made a great decision.
I think one of the best things that happened was Butch Carter taking over as coach. He is one of the smartest NBA coaches I've ever seen.
There's not too many better than Butch Carter. Like his basketball acumen is off the charts. He saved my sanity, you know, just because our first coach, my rookie year coach, was, I don't even know if it was old school. I just say it seems like he didn't want me there. So we butted heads, removed him from his positioning, Butch steps in, and from day one, it was like structure.
With 2 young stars and a new coach in place, things were looking up. Until a labor dispute between the NBA and its players, which didn't end until January 1999, delaying Vince's NBA debut.
He went back to North Carolina, worked on his degree, but also worked on his game. So he came back even better.
I went back to school and did a semester and all of that. You know, I mean, because that's the way that was the expectations from my family, finishing the job.
This commitment to education is going to be important later.
So I was able to go back to school and do the class thing, try to finish that, and then go and work on the game. And it was like the big vision was, okay, make sure I'm ready. Make sure I'm ready. I'm ready to go.
It's a rookie. You gotta smile sometime, boy.
This is the worst part.
God, why you gotta be so serious, man?
5 years.
Have you had to carry anybody's bag?
No. When we step on the floor, I can't be considered a rookie. Can't go out there playing like a rookie. I have to be able to step in.
It's Carter with his first basket in the NBA, and you see the great leaping ability. Carter!
He has been spectacular this evening.
Baseline, Carter spins, elevates, and hits. Nice finish by Vince Carter, 16-point. The Raptors are going to 1-0, beating the Celtics. An impressive performance by Vince Carter in his debut.
I was excited. Not many guys can say they won that first NBA game.
The Sky Dome was the Raptors' version of a bachelor pad. Now they're getting ready to move into their forever home.
Remember, we're still playing in the Sky Dome. We're practicing out at the college out in the suburbs. We didn't really have a home. Then, we were building the Air Canada Center at that time.
Live from Toronto, Canada's newest sports and entertainment facility opens its doors for the first time to NBA basketball. Welcome to the Air Canada Center.
I remember our first game. We were playing at Air Canada Center, we were playing Vancouver. Couldn't ask for a better matchup. The 2 Canadian teams played against each other.
The All-Canada Showdown first basketball game at Air Canada Center. And Willis wins it this time. And Alvin Williams running the point for the Toronto Raptors. There's veteran Charles Oakley. Came over from the New York Knicks, a couple of veterans in that Toronto lineup. There's the alley-oop pass to the high-flying rookie Vince Carter, and the first basket in Air Canada Center goes to Vince Carter.
The fans started to gravitate to basketball, and showing up at the Air Canada Center, it was a tough ticket.
Carter again with the flush.
There's another alley-oop coming.
And again!
Vince Carter just putting a few finishing touches on a nice work of art he's put on the floor today.
You started to see a major difference in the city, in the country. Everybody all of a sudden wanted to watch basketball. It wasn't just about hockey.
It became the place to be. I mean, you would look down courtside, and one night there'd be Sylvester Stallone, there's Samuel L. Jackson, and it was because of Vince Carter. 100% was Vince Carter.
Is this kid a rookie or what? You gotta be kidding me. He's special. He's gonna put a lot of guys on a poster.
It was really amazing with how he did hit the ground running and just took off.
Every time Vince Carter took the court, it was must-see TV.
It was a highlight every night.
Every night, something happened that made you go, holy crap.
Somebody's got to find Vince Carter. There he goes.
We saw everything. I mean, he would put together a package in a game of a windmill slam.
Vince Carter throws down a huge one.
A two-handed dunk.
Oh, no! He did not do that!
A reverse. Oh! He did the 360s.
Showtime!
And I'm just sitting there, and I get to call this, and I'm thinking, this is a perfect storm.
There couldn't be a more perfect person to launch basically Canadian basketball off, just blew it out of the water.
The game would hit, the lights would come on, and he would do something phenomenal. I wasn't even pissed off that I wasn't playing much. I knew I had a good seat and I was gonna see something good.
Carter elevates and throws it down. My goodness.
Playing with Dominique, I've seen it all. But Vince took it to another level, and he would just not only turn into Vince sanity, but he turned into something even, to me, even bigger than that. And even today, I still think he's obviously the best dunker ever.
In Canada, in Toronto especially, he was ours. He was theirs. There was an ownership of Vince's greatness in Toronto that didn't exist even with Damon.
And I think that's exactly what this sport needed in this country, because people were fairly new to the pro game, but to have a guy that was a superstar and was so dynamic with the highlights that you were going to see every night on TV, it made basketball something that people became more interested in. So he really changed the face of the game in this country.
I just knew I just keep pushing, keep going, keep playing, keep learning. This is what you should. I never wanted to give it back, meaning the opportunity. I'm in the NBA now. I'm not giving this back.
After some dark nights for the Raptors franchise, Vince's Rookie of the Year season is the dawn of a new era.
I think that's when it started hitting me. You start seeing people voting and it started flashing. You start seeing, like, oh, shoot.
It's a dream come true, one, just being in the NBA and just making a name for yourself, but yet actually winning this award, considering all the great names who won it in the past, I feel good right now.
To hear that was just surprising, but like at that point, it's like, don't give it back. Keep going, keep proving.
Vince took the league by storm in his rookie year, making Toronto a destination for players around the NBA.
Vince had the it factor, and when you've got the it factor, you say to yourself, we're going to build our team around him, and the Raptors did.
Glenn Grunwald did today what yesterday he said he would not do. That's take 18-year-old Jonathan Bender out of Mississippi with the 5th overall pick in the draft. But don't expect Bender to be a Raptor for long. Rumors have him going to Indiana for Antonio Davis.
This is where I need to be in order to get where I'm trying to go. And he was going to take me there, so I was all in.
By my third year, which was my last year, we had built a family. And it was like the perfect, mix of basketball players, of talent.
But was Tracy all in? He and Vince, along with all the vets, transformed the Raptors into a dangerous team. But T-Mac's upcoming free agency would threaten to shatter the rise of the Raptors.
We were in a real dilemma with Tracy at that time. We had offered him a max contract after his second year, which was, I thought, a little risky given he hadn't really, turned the corner. We saw his great potential.
Tracy McGrady has it, winds his way down the floor. Oh, no! I think he got a nosebleed on that one.
I would tell Tracy, you know what? You and Vince, the two of you will take this ball club deep in the Eastern Conference, win the Eastern Conference.
He didn't tell us that he would never re-sign with us, but he didn't say he would re-sign with us. So it was a real tough situation.
We were all starting to wonder how Tracy was dealing with the fact that Vince was the guy.
I was in practice one day. I was stretching next to T-Mac. And T-Mac told me, he said, you know what? I need to have my own, I need to run and run my own team.
I knew all along I was going to be Orlando Magic for the next season.
Carter and McGrady, the Cousins combine.
Carter, nice pass to McGrady for the dunk.
The Cousins connect.
The stories out there about the two of them finding out they were cousins, and they became closer, and it was a case of them kind of pushing each other.
Not exactly. Oh, no!
It certainly helped with the cousin factor with T-Mac and Vince. But I think with Butch Carter, the head coach, giving T-Mac some tough love, I think it really burned the fire.
Butch Carter was just so smart and had a vision. We were the original. It was me, Doug Christie, and Vince Carter, 3 big guards. The vision was amazing of what they saw back then and what it could potentially be.
Carter, crossover move in the lane, baseline right, McGrady, a reverse, count it!
It was like a Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen, and not comparing Vince to Jordan or any of those comparisons, but that tandem was close to that because you had 2 dynamic players.
We were inseparable. We lived in the same building. Off the court, we spent lots of times together, whether he's in my apartment, I'm in his apartment, or we, going places together. We were always together.
This whole this hugging, he's my cousin, we grew up together stuff, that's a revision history.
I don't think they disliked each other, but I don't think this was, bosom buddies that were arm in arm and did everything together.
I think Tracy probably bristled a little bit being as a second fiddle. I think Vince would have been quite fine to be a co-billing. I think Tracy wanted to be the guy.
I had no problem giving him the rock to be the guy. Like, I mean, it was just organic.
Let's take you to a place where Vince showed his true powers and became a legend.
Oakland, California, big stage. We're talking all-star weekend.
First of all, I didn't want to get into the slam dunk contest because I seen, what this guy, my cousin, and my teammate does, on a day-to-day basis. So I'm like, okay, he's going to win it. I mean, I had some pretty creative dunks. They were cool, but what this guy can do is just on a whole nother level.
To see Toronto across his chest, I think, much like everyone in the city and the country at that time, it was exciting to see something of that caliber.
He knew that there were a lot of good dunkers in there, and it probably was going to take something special. And I watched this guy transform when he walked through the door and just turn the world on.
Here is the man that this crowd wants to see. Vince Carter, who had told Kenny Smith that he has 4 dunks that no one has ever seen.
Well, I didn't just see the dunk contest. I was the NBA Inside Stuff correspondent. So I had the front row to the front row seat.
Awesome. Pure awesome.
And I walked out there and just looked into the arena. I was like, for all the time I was taping the dunk contest, studying it like it was a final exam for years and years. My opportunity is here.
Let's go home! Let's go home, ladies and gentlemen! Let's go home!
And I stepped on the court, and I just looked around, and you could see all the guys in the corner, far left corner. And when I did that dunk right there, I said, these guys don't have a chance.
This building just exploded.
Vince made everybody look ordinary. Me and Grant Hill talked about it because Stackhouse actually had to come after his dunk. And he looked at Stackhouse and said, are you sure you want to dunk after Vince?
Everybody looked at Jerry Stackhouse and said, it's on you, bro. Because if I had to go after that, I don't even know if I'd have went up there like, nah, y'all got it, man.
You can't come after Babe Ruth. You don't go singing after Michael Jackson. There's certain things you just don't do.
Vince did not disappoint. He gave us absolutely indelible memories with dunks that, at least for me, I had never seen before.
Vince Carter finishes with a 49, and the reason is Kenny Smith.
Because I told you, he set the precedent with the first one.
Vince was just on a whole different level. It's just amazing that you see very athletic, elite athletic people, and then you see Vince Carter, and you just see the difference between the eliteness of different levels.
Okay, I see what's getting ready to take place. This is going to be devastating. Get ready to jump up out your seat.
He's using T-Mac to his system, and Vince did it all.
This the finale on the first round for Vince Carter.
It's over, ladies and gentlemen.
It's over. It's over.
It's over. that was a seminal dunk contest moment.
It just happened. Like, it's nothing I planned. Like, that's not even my style. But my arms all of a sudden just start working, and my mouth say it's over. But that's how good I felt that night.
Half man, half amazing, Vince Carter.
That was half man, half amazing. I'm going to say that again. That was half man, half amazing.
Facts. This guy is half man, half amazing.
Vince, you should be perfect throughout the 3 rounds. Do you have anything to say to Kenny Smith?
Thanks, Kenny. That's okay. We'll talk later.
Are you still coming to my basketball camp? That's what I want to know.
Just having some fun, man. Just doing what I know how to do, and just be creative. I got something that I'm just showing hang time, and now I'm gonna try to show a little height. See how far I can put my arm over them.
You put the C, the capital C, in creativity.
The elbow dunk. I just, my jaw dropped in real time. It drops now even thinking about it.
All right, Vince Carter with his first on the final round.
Ladies, wait, time out. Can I take a time out?
So I remember sitting there watching with my dad, And the one dunk when he stuck his arm in the rim, and I remember my dad just being like, did that boy just stick his elbow in the rim? Like, he was so confused.
See, now he's getting silly with it.
Vince Carter racked up a score of 98 to win the NBA.com Slam Dunk 2000 championship.
To me, that day, that first dunk put Toronto on the map.
It feels good. I mean, I just got the chance to talk to Dr. J, a slam dunk champion and dunking legend.
Keep your eyes on this relationship with Dr. J, because it'll come into play later. But for now, enjoy some VC game winners.
2 seconds, 1 second, beats the buzzer. Oh, it's the game! Vince Carter! Carter does it again! Oh, my. Carter wide open for the win. He is invincible.
It was good. It was a big turnaround, and it was not just Vince, but some of the other players we added to, and it just had a good vibe to it.
I can't say enough about the veteran players surrounding Vince Carter. When you get the likes of Charles Oakley, Kevin Willis, Dee Brown, then the addition of Antonio Davis, it was just a combination of youth and veterans, and it all came together during that period of time.
That was my mission, was to come here, because I think I'm probably in my 16th or 17th year at the time, was to come in and try to sort of take these guys under our wing, teach them the ropes, show them how to be a professional, how to do this, how to do that, because they could play basketball.
They gravitated towards it, and we had a really successful season.
Butch did a really good job, X's and O's wise, and getting the team and helping Vince and Tracy develop.
He made T-Mac a better player. He made Vince Carter a better player.
I would say he's the best coach the Raptors have ever had, and I think by a long stretch.
We knew he was the guy, but I think he got in his own way in terms of not being able to finish it up.
So Butch Carter is the coach that the Raptors needed to succeed. Did they deserve what happened next? On the eve of their first ever playoff appearance, Butch filed a lawsuit against Marcus Camby for calling him a liar.
Marcus Camby may have to go to court for dissing his ex-head coach, Butch Carter.
And I'm thinking like, oh my gosh, what's going on here?
In case you missed the news, Butch Carter filing a suit against Marcus Camby for defamation of character.
Young guy sat out there and said something that was totally inaccurate, and I didn't want to involve him and his team to rally them, so I just said, let's put it in a court of law.
Now, Russ Granite, the deputy commissioner of the NBA, just released this statement to NBC, and it says, quote, "The idea of a coach suing a player over his public comments seems unprecedented and highly inappropriate."
Mary Ormsby from the Star, a colleague of mine, was back in Toronto and called me to say, hey, we just got notice that Butch is suing Marcus Camby. We're like, what? And, Glenn Grunwald was like at the table. And Glenn, we got to talk. And he went, oh, I thought we talked him out of that.
Well, I knew he was mad about some comments that Marcus had made in the paper, and he had talked a little bit about, filing a lawsuit, and I said, Butch, come on, be serious, you can't do that.
We'd love to show you Butch's side of the story, but he declined our request, politely.
I'm not going to take that kind of bullet for free.
Ultimately, the ownership had to tell Butch to withdraw the lawsuit, and, it was a bit of a difficult time.
It was an ill-thought-out process. Didn't catch the organization totally by surprise, but I think cast a pall over that first playoffs.
When you have those type of distractions, things that's going on, I just try to focus out.
We call it starve your distractions. And I don't know if we did a good job of that that first playoff series because there's a lot going on.
I'd be surprised if Butch himself didn't say, you know what, if I could change things and do things differently, I would.
I think I made a mistake because the courtroom doesn't belong in the locker room.
So if I'm hearing you right, the lawsuit itself will go down as one of those mistakes?
Yes. The damage that has been done to my reputation, I've done, okay? I'm not going to allow someone else a free shot at it.
The fans were definitely ready for playoff basketball, and the Raptors brought it. I mean, they were taking on a really good Knicks ball club,
they thought they had a shot. I don't know that they did really, legitimate one.
All the elements for New York were on display right there. The toughness, the team concept, the defense.
Number one, I hated New York. We just always had a rival, and they was kind of similar, built like us. But for me, it was, I'm excited. This is first Raptors playoff game in history.
Spinning McGrady. Nice move, Tracy McGrady.
Carter calling for it at the post.
McGrady's first shot as the corner goes down.
I was comfortable. I was extremely comfortable in just playing basketball and doing what I do.
Versus a very aggressive New York defense, Vince has tried to do a little too much, a little too quickly.
He struggled. Yeah, I think he put too much pressure on himself that series. He wanted to play really well, and I think he was pressing, that first game.
Johnson for three. Banked it in! Oh, no. The LJ sign prevails.
Things didn't pan out as well as I think they could have panned out during that series or the course of that series. And the Knicks took advantage of it.
Once the Raptors digest this loss and the fact the season is over, obviously the situation surrounding Tracy McGrady becomes a big one. May have been his last game in a Raptors uniform.
You made the playoffs. You say it felt great. Is that going to influence you as far as coming back next year?
Well, I mean, whatever happens to me, I don't know what's going to happen, but I just got to make the best decision for myself. I can't worry about anybody else.
I thought we were a better team. I thought we had a better player. But yeah, I was disappointed that was my last time walking off at that time, but I knew it was the last time.
The high of Toronto's first taste of playoff basketball, it didn't last long. Butch Carter, an agent of chaos, is about to self-destruct.
There was so much going on with Butch, the team. Internally, there was some, tug-of-war going on.
I can remember it was in his office, and he came in and was making big demands, Glenn and I. And I said to him, why do you want to end such a potentially great career? And he says, if I don't do all this, I'm gone.
There were some off-the-court issues that really sort of got in the way of him going to be able to continue, whether it was, suing Marcus Camby in the playoffs when we were playing the Knicks.
He wanted to be made the general manager, and he was doing end-arounds on Glenn, and he was Mr. Conspiracy.
We are here today to announce that Butch Carter has been relieved of his duties as head coach of the Toronto Raptors.
A couple of years later, he wrote me a note when Glenn left that he wanted to apply for general manager. Spelt my name wrong. And we never showed up again, but he had great potential. So there was things he was really good at, maybe his ego got in his way. He could have been a great coach.
When I learned of his dismissal, I thought, well, I think the Raptors now are in great position to hire a really good coach with experience and who's probably a 180 from Butch.
Well, we had two lists. We had the Lenny Wilkins list and then all the other candidates. But really, in my wildest dreams, I wouldn't have thought that we could have obtained a coach of Lenny's quality and character.
First of all, I'm excited about it, and I think that I have high expectations of my own, and you should always let the sky be the limit.
I knew that I could help. I mean, I knew talent, I knew young players, and I had been successful wherever I was. So I thought it would be a great challenge.
It meant everything for me because my career was flat. He gave me an opportunity to play.
They had great fans, and we wanted to give the fans back something. And I wanted the players to understand about winning.
Now with Butch out of the picture, T-Mac is left to battle between hero or villain.
Story in the Sun this morning about forget about Tracy McGrady, Grant Hill would be the free agent this team would want to sign. Can you comment on that? No Raptors were quoted, but can you comment on it?
No. Can't quote on free agents, that's the rule. The only guy we can talk about is Tracy McGrady, and we definitely want to re-sign Tracy. He's our first choice.
I think it was pretty clear right from the start he wasn't going to re-sign with us. I think those messages were there.
He wanted to be what Vince Carter was. Like he was chasing that. He was chasing the Kobe Bryants, the Vince Carter. He was chasing all of those things, which I think ignited his drive to be who he became.
He was talking about him wanting that opportunity. Like, I mean, I understood. I was like, and he was like, yeah, man, I want to be that guy, like that guy. And I was like, silly me, I looked at it as like you are the guy. We go to you, you can have it.
It had nothing to do with being in Vince's shadow. I was about to come here and be in Grant Hill's shadow. Grant Hill was a better player than me at that time.
It's been a rough 3 years for me. You know, now I'm up here, cut your cell phone off. Now I'm up here, I'm home.
When he left, it was like a dagger in my heart.
He's a Florida kid. The Florida team that we grew up watching now is interested in you being their guy. That's hard to turn down.
Toronto had no chance, bro. I knew once I became a free agent that I was going to Orlando. I was coming back home. I seen myself as a high school kid in that uniform. Like, that's what they was recruiting against. I don't know how you're gonna win it. And that is the truth.
It really was a turning point in our franchise, I think. You know, that took us away from being, I think, a real contender with Vince and Tracy as two superstars to, you know, just a good team and, you know, one that was going to struggle to compete towards the end of the playoffs.
I didn't get as much as playing time as he did. It was Vince Carter's show.
It's tough to swallow. I guess when you think they feel one way, and when they leave, you know, here comes the truth, I guess.
I had no problems. I had no problems with him at any time. But when you get to listening to the media as young players, right, putting you up against each other, they start to creep in like, man, really?
By way of media, it was a lot of back and forth, and I don't know how it got into he was saying whatever to me, and then I had the response, and it was just crazy.
I know we didn't talk like we did because of, you know, that separation.
Charles Oakley was talking to Tracy, and Vince and Tracy weren't talking at this moment. And Oakley had Tracy on the phone, and he's like, hey, somebody wants to talk to you, and gave it to Vince. We were on the team bus.
Oak did put us on the phone. I think they were on the bus, and we spoke, right? There was no issue.
We got on the phone and had a conversation like, hey man, I didn't say it. He's like, I didn't either. But we let it go. And we let the media continue. So it was kind of interesting to hear now people saying, oh yeah, but Tracy says, like, oh, did he? I was like, he was so far from the truth.
The late Kobe Bryant said if Tracy and Vince would have stayed together in Toronto, they would have been the ones winning all the title. They would have been the ones that people would have been chasing.
I truly believe had I stayed, Toronto would have played for a championship in the early 2000s.
Who knows what could have come out of that? Like, I tell you, man, like we talked about it. He was like, man, I wish. I was like, I wish, but it made for good competition because I tell you, I enjoyed going to Orlando, playing against him.
Without his cousin by his side, Vince transformed into Vince-sanity.
Well, the 2001 season, he really exploded because, I mean, the Raptors now were not an afterthought. The Raptors were on the front page of basketball news everywhere.
Here's Carter driving baseline. Kaboom! Here's Carter on the drive. Reverse. I don't believe it!
Even with Tracy gone, you knew it was still a good team. They've got youth, they've got athleticism, they've got defense, they can score, they've got veterans, they got it all.
Good ball movement. Shot clock at 4. Oh, Peterson drops in a 3. Jackson behind the back. Antonio Davis with the flush. Beautiful. And here come the Raptors on the break. Down court alley, went to the runway. With a lane. Got the foul. Oh, baby, what a play by the Raps.
It was organic, the fact that we started playing better basketball. You start seeing more basketball. You start seeing what it looks like to have a superstar in your team.
From the coaching staff on down, I think there was a strong feeling that this could be the year. This could be the one.
And speaking of number one, let's see how the Raptors fans treat a villain.
Welcome live inside the Air Canada Centre. Sold out the much-anticipated return of Tracy McGrady and the Orlando Magic.
The greatest moments of any Raptor home game in franchise history were when former players would come back.
When T-Mac returned, obviously the fans let T-Mac know how disappointed they were. I'm being very kind here.
I remember as soon as I came visible in the tunnel, because the camera was right there waiting for me. And soon as I turned the corner and they put me on the Jumbotron, boo! Oh, it was loud. Oh, man.
Out of Mount Zion Academy, a 6'8" forward, number 1, Tracy McGrady.
From the time he came on for the warm-up, every time he touched the ball, you know, there were some Tracy McGrady fans there. There were people wearing T-Mac jerseys in the stands, but they were totally drowned out by the booing.
Wants to establish himself early. Brady touches the ball for the first time. The expected raspberries come out.
And when I touched the ball, it got even louder. I was like, oh, this is going to be a fun night. This is going to be a fun night.
McGrady for 3 is out. DeClerc has the rebound, though, back to T-Mac. Look out as he comes inside and lays it in for his first basket. Vince, a hawk, fade away, good. But there are going to be moments in this ball game where you might as well forget everybody else and just watch those two.
That game, I knew it was going to be a hostile environment, and I love those type of environments because I'm at my best.
T-Mac now knows what Damon Stoudemire, Isaiah Thomas, and Marcus Camby all felt like when they came back to Toronto. McGrady again with the leftovers.
Bob, he is so cool. He makes the game look easy.
Those type of games, you don't want to press too much because you want it so bad, and you want to stick it to the crowd. You want to stick it to the organization, to everybody.
Welcome, everyone, to a building they call the world's most famous arena. The Knicks hosting the Toronto Raptors.
There was no question that the Raptors wanted the Knicks again, and they came back hungry.
The sting of the first loss was with them. There was no distraction of the stuff around, and they were a veteran, hard team.
You start allowing yourself to say, like, are the Raptors the favorite against the Knicks? Like, could they actually do this?
Houston gets past Peterson, gets some help. Blocked by Carter. A lot of time. Plenty of time remaining to get it off. And Carter.
He had time to spare. Over the top.
Alley-oop and Carter. So 2 emphatic dunks. Ward wide open. This is the 3. Camby on the foul. And the Knicks with their largest lead, a 5-point advantage.
The Raptors will come up short once again in the playoffs against the Knicks.
I remember losing game 1. And I remember Charles Oakley, he challenged us. He challenged us and the coaching staff. And he put it out there like they were better, they were more prepared than we were.
We as bad. So hey, all you gotta do is perform every night. We'll do the dirty work, we'll play the drum, we'll take the trash out, what we gotta do.
Here is Vince Carter driving in and the finger roll, and the basket is good and a foul. And Lenny Wilkins' Raptors have finally won a playoff game.
I'm just excited for the franchise that we finally got our first win. That's on our belt and out the way. We tied at 1-1. We finally got one here. Sky's the limit now.
Remember, they were down 2-1 and on the brink of elimination coming home, and they win game 4.
Knocked away by Carter. Carter telegraphed the pass. Carter's made some nice defensive plays already here in the first. That's a 3. Puts it in. Vince Carter delivering big time with a career and playoff high 32 points. And it comes down to 1 game.
Everyone assumed because it was the Knicks that, hey, you know what, Raptors, you might as well pull a U-turn, get on the bus, and go back to Ontario. You have no shot at winning the 5th and deciding game in this series.
I remember that last play. I'm coming down and I'm thinking, hey, I got Allen Houston on me. I might go into my bag and let me do something a little tricky. Almost getting out of character, not doing my role, but I came down, I slipped. I actually slipped and fell and lost the ball. And the ball went to Vince. And Vince had the basketball and the double came to him and he just kicked it back to me, wide open.
Williams, enormous field goal for Alvin Williams.
At that moment, that's the biggest moment in your career right now, especially for me. That was the biggest moment in my pro career.
The Toronto Raptors celebrate as they have defeated the New York Knicks to take the series 3-2.
I was going crazy, and I went into that locker room, and the players were just soaking it all in. And then guess what? 48 hours later, we were in Philadelphia playing a Sunday game.
Oh, man. As soon as we knew they were playing the Sixers, it immediately became, this is going to be a duel of Allen Iverson versus Vince Carter.
You had two legitimate takeover superstars, and they were on the same floor in a 7-game series.
He's got 54. The Sixer playoff record for points in a game is now his. Allen Iverson drinking it all in here at the First Union Center.
It wasn't cool because I was getting the brunt of the AI points, but when you look back at it, it's just like, wow.
He has played the entire game except for the last 14 seconds. Allen Iverson, one for the memory books.
I'm not going to try to get in a 50 contest because I don't think I'm ready for that yet.
When this series began, it was all about the superstar matchups. Game 3, though, was all about Vince Carter, almost eclipsing Allen Iverson's performance from Game 2 and setting a few records along the way, including career and franchise playoff records with 50 points.
Both teams, it was toe-to-toe. It was almost like a boxing match, being able to go back and forth and back and forth.
It was just a great feeling to be in a zone like that, but yet the team still playing well, you winning, and all the right things were happening at the same time. So it makes it special.
He had 8, count them, 8 straight threes. I'm thinking, is this for real? Am I dreaming?
It was an intense series. It was a physical series. And I love the fact how Vince stepped up.
Vince did step up, but the step he took was onto the stage at the University of North Carolina to celebrate his graduation.
Now that this day's here, I feel better and better about it because it's something I want to do and it's something I'm going to accomplish on top of the opportunity of playing Game 7 at the same time. So mentally, I'm prepared for both.
Jim LeBombard came up to me. He was the PR guy. He said, "Oh, Vince is going to his graduation." I goes, "When is it?" I said, "No, he's not doing that."
We had always suggested that maybe it was not the best idea to consider that. But Vince and his mother, they felt strongly about, setting an example.
That piece of paper means something to me and my family, but it means something to me.
I talked to Glenn and I couldn't believe it. I said, "Glenn, you gotta be kidding me." Vince was a young guy and he wanted to go. And so he went.
And I often thought if it was Brian Burke, he would have, full of obscenities, said, "No effing way are you going to your thing." But we agreed to that because we're on pins and needles with this guy.
And just a reminder, Vince will be a free agent at the end of the season.
We didn't want to, upset him so much that he decided that this would be the hill he dies on, that he's not going to come back because we didn't allow him to go to Chapel Hill for his graduation.
I felt like I did everything right. I went to every person in the organization and asked them their opinion about it. And to tell me man to man, yes, no, I'm indifferent. And most of the guys said yes, and some of the guys like, I don't have a problem with it as long as you're back ready to go.
If he's looking for something, he's going to find it tomorrow. Let them do anything that they need to do. All we're worried about is us as 12 individuals going up there to face a team that is a pretty tough team.
I remember like it was yesterday. Me and Oak was in the bathroom getting dressed, and he came up and said, "Hey, you guys, I talked to you about something." And he said what was going to happen, right? And I think Oak and I kind of looked at each other like, "You're gonna do what? Like, you're gonna do what? When? How?"
They weren't okay with it. What are they gonna say to him? I mean, come on. That's a very difficult thing.
Half the people don't even know the story. Like, I was sitting in our walkthrough before everybody got there. I was there before everybody, ready to go like a normal day.
First Union Center in Philadelphia, and the only accurate guarantees you can make right now is it'll be packed and it will be deafening.
These two guys who are Hall of Famers playing at the level that they're playing, we knew it was going to come down to Game 7. We knew it was going to come down to a final shot.
Sixers by 1, but the Raptors with the ball, 2 seconds to go.
I wanted the ball. I remember we were going into timeout. I said, Coach, give me the ball.
They've got Del Curry inbounding the ball. They're going to set screens for Vince Carter coming to it.
Because originally, the play, I was supposed to catch the ball at the top of the key, and he denied me.
Curry has it. Carter trying to get free.
So I go back door to get the ball, and as I turn around, Tyrone Hill was there. As I pump fake and I got myself set, and I go back up.
Carter at the buzzer.
About halfway, I was like thinking, okay, when this goes in, what am I gonna do? I had stand there, run into the locker room, run into the stands, or run on top of the table, and just stand there. Like I did it. I pulled it off. But all that popped, my bubble popped about halfway because I'm like, oh, that's good. Oh no, that's long. Oh no.
No good! And the Sixers hold on and advance to the conference finals.
It's hard to get there. It's harder to stay there. Not just that shot, but that whole ride, getting over that first round and getting to the second and getting to a game 7, it builds up to this place, and that's your moment. That's your shot.
That ball rimming out changed the direction of the organization like this.
New shirt, new shoes, new attitude. But for a core group of Raptors, it's also the start of a new season under new contracts.
Vince re-signs. We had Antonio Davis re-signing. We had Jerome Williams re-signing. We had Alvin Williams re-signing. This was going to be our basketball team in Toronto for the next 5 years.
We were the first group that said, this is a good team, this is a championship-worthy team, and we're committed to each other to see this through. And now you have other good players like Hakeem Olajuwon.
The feeling was, here we go. Like, we're keeping all these guys, and we got Hakeem?
The expectations were high. I mean, we had pieces that we were excited for. It was just one of those things, again, you can't take anything for granted because you never know if you'll ever get that moment again.
The Raptors built everything around Vince's powers, but injuries became his kryptonite.
Vince got hurt. He had what they called the jumper's knee. I'm not a doctor. I'm not really sure what a jumper's knee is, but it obviously affected his play and affected to the point where he couldn't play.
Vince is doing well. We've just come from speaking with him. We're looking for him to be out for the remainder of the regular season.
I got the surgery, and it didn't go well, and I couldn't play in the playoffs. And I was blamed, he didn't want to play. I was like, I can't play. Like, look at this knee. I can't move.
There's a difference between an injury and a guy playing hurt. Guys play hurt all the time. I play hurt all the time. But when I'm injured, I can't go.
Do I think he quit on the team?
I think that you could deduce that just by the stats. Let the stats make you come to that conclusion.
I think he played not to get hurt.
You guys know me. You know I love to play. I play with a smile on my face, which you guys didn't. I say you guys, meaning people in general, didn't, they questioned, and why does he do this? Like, I played with a joy. I also understood being in the face of the franchise, being the star player of the team at the time, that's always talked about. That's what comes with the other side of it.
When the Lenny Wilkens era came to an end, it was obvious that a change was needed.
It didn't end the way I wanted to. I would have liked to have had a healthy team and go on to the playoffs. But, sometimes these things happen and you have no control over it.
Well, Lenny was the winningest basketball coach. What people forget, he was the losingest basketball coach too. But he was kind of a lazy coach and really wasn't on top of the team. And so we needed to make that change. Glenn decided we make that change.
Lenny Wilkens had a great career, was a great coach, but I think he's retired for 2 years and just didn't tell the Raptors. And I don't think he put a lot of work in that job.
Listen, it was an experience, and you move on. And, I think that when I was getting them to the playoffs, they weren't complaining or bitching or saying anything, They were enjoying the ride. But then when you don't have success, it's easy to point fingers.
Toronto's in the 4th spot. This is where the known stops, the unknown begins.
With the 4th pick in the 2003 NBA Draft, the Toronto Raptors select Chris Bosh from Georgia Tech University.
Dwayne Wade was someone we would have considered, but we already had, Vince, and we had a yellow flag on Dwayne's knee. You're drafting that high in the draft, you want to get a player that's going to be, a huge contributor, if not a star. And we had hopes that Chris could be that, and it turned out he was.
And look out, Bosh with a 2-hand slammer.
I loved it. I thought the combination of Vince and Chris would be sensational, and I think it would put the Carter battery, back running at a very high speed.
Obviously, Chris Bosh is the way they want to go, and I was like, that's fine. I have no ill will for him, and I vowed to never be a locker room problem. I think that's what they were looking for.
It was a move that will likely be the beginning of a full house cleaning for the Toronto Raptors, but definitely not an easy one to make. Glenn Grunwald was a very well-respected man in this organization. In fact, Richard Petty was adamant to say Grunwald wasn't being fired, he was simply not having his contract renewed.
You hire strangers and you fire friends. And I'd promoted Glenn, and we went through those very difficult times, but I just really felt that we needed a change.
I didn't think they would make a change, but they decided to make a change, and it's understandable. I think some of my decisions weren't worthy of firing, probably. So
Remember when we were watching the dunk contest and I told you to make note of the relationship with Dr. J?
Vince was under the impression it had been promised that he'd get some input on the next GM. Dr. J was his choice.
I was honored to meet Dr. J, and I just didn't really think he was the right thing. And that would have been more, well, we bring him in, it's another catering to Vince I didn't think it was the right move.
If they ask Vince for his say and his input, and he gives the input and it's not really taken seriously or it's not really too much behind it, I could see where Vince could be upset, could feel disrespected.
And so they interviewed a number of people, and ultimately it came down to Rob Babcock.
I was really backed into a corner. We're running out of time. There were people who thought he'd be a good choice. Clearly he wasn't.
I really kind of felt like the franchise was breaking a little bit at that point.
Okay, time out. Quick recap. Glenn's out as general manager. Dr. J is not in. Rob Babcock is in. And Sam Mitchell, the floor is yours.
Uh-oh. Here y'all gonna ask me, man, about my Raptor days. This is the first interview I've ever done about my time as the coach of the Raptors.
I did feel when Sam Mitchell came in, it felt like the team was making a shift. Coaching style, coaching philosophy, and it wasn't about Vince Carter leading in charge anymore.
Upon getting the job, I was put on a private plane to fly down to Florida because that's when I was introduced to the rift between Vince and the front office.
With the legend of Vince fading, the hero that the fans once adored wasn't going to die a hero.
I think he got a little bit tired of being always the guy, always having to explain himself, always having to explain the franchise.
This was the talk. This was in all the papers. Why isn't Vince dunking anymore? What's going on with Vince Carter? Has he lost the desire to dunk? So I figured, instead of assuming, let me just ask him.
Harder for you to drive now than it was a few years back? You used to get to the foul line a lot more. You used to get a lot of dunks inside. Is it?
I don't want to dunk anymore.
Why not?
For what?
Get fouled, go to the free throw line?
You can make a layup and get fouled and go to the free throw line.
But if you look, you see you're not getting the free throw line as often as you used to.
Sorry, Barry. I'll go work on it.
I was shocked to hear his response. I don't want to. I don't want to dunk anymore.
Vince has a terrible sense of humor. He doesn't know how to tell a joke. Vince doesn't know how to tell a joke, and so it was a joke. Vince Carter's saying he's not going to dunk again? That's stupid.
I remember a home game getting booed because I'm on the fast break by myself, and I go up to the rim and just lay it in and do like this, and they booed. I was like, yo, this is insane. Like, it's 2 points. I still got the 2 points.
It's just all of us. We're not doing, so you're saying it's my fault?
I'm asking you.
That's basically what you're saying.
Vince has been accused of a lot during his time in Toronto. Being injury prone, not playing hard, quitting on his team. But near the end of his tenure comes another allegation, that he was telling his opponents what play the Raptors were about to run.
Oh my goodness.
I never believed that he did that. I mean, there was a part of me that thought it could be possible, but by God, why? Why would you want to do that?
My reaction was I didn't believe it. I couldn't see him doing that. I couldn't imagine him doing that.
So one of the coaches or the guys that I knew who scouted the game, he's like, hey, he's running the blah, 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 blah. But he had it wrong. I said, no, actually, I'm going this way off the play. It's what I'm doing. And it was like, wait, he's giving plays away. I'm like, I didn't give the play away. I didn't like go tell him, hey, we're about to run this, which also happens a lot. Some of our best killers in the game, it's like, I can tell you the play, but can you stop it? Whatever.
The way I feel after a loss, to talk about something with Vince Carter is ridiculous. It was comical. And guys, sometimes you should feel bad having to ask me that.
Sam Mitchell, wrestling match.
What about it?
Did it happen? Who won?
Did it happen? It happened. Who won? Go ask him.
No, dude. Okay.
I'm not playing that game. I was hurt. Sam walks into my face and talks junk as he did with everyone.
Vince was laying on the training table. I was walking through the training table, and I actually fell on top of Vince. And Vince rolled over, and that was it. And we laughed, and I kept walking through the training table.
In my face, hey, man, come on, man, stop playing, to where, we lock up as guys do, we have our little bro moment and, scoop slam, it's over with.
Vince Carter and I never, ever, ever had a physical confrontation, ever.
Fun times, it's just, I won.
They didn't want Vince here any longer. They thought it was time for him to go.
At that point, they knew that that chapter was done.
He was not just a star of the team, he was a star of the league. And now you're having injuries. Now people are doubting you. Now you're saying certain things in the media that people can question you. Now other people around the league are questioning you. They're talking down on you. You're not the same guy. You're soft. You're this, you're that. You hear all these whispers around the NBA regarding Vince.
Vince has now lived long enough to see himself become the villain.
I hope this comes out right. If I'm not the player you want or need anymore, get me out of your way.
I
have no comment, man. Man, I'm here, aren't I? That's all I'm gonna say about that.
Vince's argument started with management before Rob and I got here. Our job should have been to work through that.
I thought things were going, very well as far as Vince's effort. I think he himself got a little distracted. The players and the coaches, we all got a little distracted with all these trade rumors going around.
Just don't leave me here like this to be miserable if y'all don't want me. Like,
if you're not emotionally invested, I don't care how professional you are. Man, if your heart isn't in it, it ain't gonna happen.
I think it was time to go. It was over. It was broken.
I had a conversation with Sam Mitchell about it. I said, look, I don't want to leave. It's just how things are going. So I kind of like, that's the direction we're going, but I don't want to leave.
He said, Coach, I want to play for you. I think I want to stay. It changed my mind. Man, and that was like a ton of bricks.
And he said his 2 cents on that, and years later, which you said it earlier.
I grabbed my cell phone, go off to a corner. I called Rob Babcock. I said, Rob, you're not gonna believe this. Man, I just had an hour and a half conversation with Jim Todd and I with Vince. Man, he wants to be here.
And the version of the story that I've heard is that Sam told that to Rob Babcock, and Rob Babcock said, that's fine, the deal's done.
During the phone call, he just didn't want to hear it. Now I got a trade on the books. He know I'm gonna trade him, blah, blah, and I knew at that point, I'm like, oh my God, this just. So I'm just a coach, man, and I'm just a first-year coach.
There's a lot of stories he was all set to come back the next day. No one told me that. Not that it would have changed our mind.
With all the rumors and speculation that have been going around, it is not a surprise at all that Vince Carter has been traded. What is a bit surprising is who Rob Babcock traded him to and what he got in return.
Who comes out on top of this trade?
Well, if the New Jersey Nets get a healthy Vince Carter, then I don't think there's any question that they come out on top.
Everyone was stunned.
They're getting Aaron and Eric Williams. You're also going to get disgruntled Alonzo Mourning, plus you're getting 2 conditional first-round picks in the next 2 years.
I think Vince's trade value has diminished a little bit in the last couple of years with his injuries. We felt we had to make a trade, and we searched the entire league and tried to find the best trade possible, and we made the best trade by far. It was the best offer that we had.
Rob Babcock f***ed that up so bad. He f***ed that up.
Oh man, if I don't agree with this, I have to fire the general manager. And so because of this kind of sacred rule in sports, I knew it was a horrible deal. Horrible deal.
That ain't enough for Vince. That was a horrible trade. I don't know why they did that trade. You giving up Vince Carter for that? like, that's what makes me think I could be a GM in the NBA.
It marked a harsh end in Toronto, and a lot of the fans were, to this day, some of them still unforgiving. But I'll tell you this, if Vince doesn't do what he does to put Toronto on the map, maybe the franchise is in a different spot.
The fans get the message 3rd, 4th, 6th, 7th hand. All I know is people think that Vince did not want to be here, and that was the furthest thing from the truth.
I didn't force you to trade me. I didn't force you to trade me.
The breakup was bitter, and Vince's return to Toronto was anything but a hero's welcome.
It was just after 5 o'clock when Vince Carter stepped off the bus here at the ACC. And in the Irving shirt, a very symbolic statement in that as well.
It's tough anytime you lose, someone like that, and you have to make a trade. And I think, maybe Vince was perceived as a villain type and was treated that way anytime that he came back to the city.
From a distance, I hated it. He meant so much to the franchise. He meant so much to that city. And for those few years of the hatred, the bad press that he was getting, I didn't quite understand it.
He's spit in our face. I mean, there's really no way around it.
We hope we can find a new Vince Carter, and hopefully he won't betray us like this one did.
Carter sucks. Carter sucks. That's what it's all about tonight.
I've never been in an arena like that in my entire life.
To walk into that cyclone of anger and hatred, it had to jar him a little bit.
I was nervously excited all day.
You knew they would be upset, but didn't really realize the length to which they'd be upset. I mean, it really sort of ventured into professional wrestling territory.
From North Carolina, 6'6" guard, number 15, Vince Carter.
It was the toughest game I've ever called in my life. And I had to balance what the storyline of the game was, which was Vince Carter returning to Toronto. And he was booed and then some.
And again, this crowd really letting Vince do a big stand.
He almost gutted this franchise. Man, I'm telling you, that was a terrible time. I've never heard boos like that. I thought Tracy McGrady was bad, but when Vince got it, and that's Toronto fans. They're passionate. Do not piss them off.
I thought they'd boo for a while, but they did it nonstop.
We all expected it to be bad. We didn't expect it to be that bad in the arena that night.
It for sure hurt, and it was frustrating because of how I enjoyed my time there, how I enjoyed playing the game.
The role of villain seemed to grow on Vince, and he got the last laugh in his return.
Once he was through the initial shock, I think then it turned to a little anger on his part. And when Vince played angry, Vince was unstoppable.
The second half, I was just a different person. I approached it like, you're back home again.
Free for three. And you can't allow Vince Carter that much space. So Carter on the pump, this step back, the three.
Vince Carter coming back to the Air Canada Center, dropping 39.
How could I tell my side without being controversial? Because at the end of the day, I just want to play basketball. That's it. I enjoy playing basketball. So for a long time, I was more defensive in interviews because of what people were trying to get me to do. And as opposed to just, what are you thinking? Ask me that question. How do you feel about it? Tell your story.
The perfect storm happened when he stepped foot in Toronto in the new building versus Vancouver. And the accumulation of that, of all the great things he's done, all the lives he's changed in Toronto, you know, all these young players that play now, watch Vince play.
We just witnessed quite an amazing moment here. Vince Carter has received a standing ovation that has brought tears to his eyes.
Look how many players that's now in the NBA from Canada because of that. You know, those kids were dreaming, believing that maybe one day I can be that.
More than anything, my goal from day one, I just wanted, I fulfilled a dream, and I wanted to make that dream last forever. And that's what it was all about.
Not a trick question. Greatest Raptor of all time.
I mean, it's a difficult question.
Really, it all changed for this franchise when Kyle Lowry arrived.
I just couldn't stand him. It just felt like it didn't mesh.
He has great loyalty to Toronto.
He was the guy trying to be a star. I was a kid coming in here with attitude, not wanting to be here.
DeRozan and Lowry, you know how significant a part they play in the success of the Toronto Raptors.
I'm about to get traded there. I'm about to get in the plane. I was just looking out, waiting for the call, and the call never came.